the game, cause see the boxing voice.
Welcome back, gang, for the first time and hopefully many more to come. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the notifications right here, this little bell, so you can get those emails every time we go live.
And then this is towards Mike. Mike, the appetite is real. He's name dropping Crawford, Spence. He's got the PBC diet right now, man. Calm down with how hungry he is. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I think that Keith, you know, most recently he called out Manny Pacquiao. He, you know, it looks like he wants that Pacquiao fight. I guess what Mike is trying to say, Dan, is Keith going to go for the big fights or look for more unifications? Because he has options out there. You know, if Mikey wins somehow, then that becomes a pay-per-view with Keith. If Pacquiao wins, that's another pay-per-view option. It seems like, you know, Keith has other options, not named Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford.
Oh, no doubt about it. You know, the rematch with Garcia would be huge. We'd love to fight Manny Pacquiao. You know, it doesn't matter. Whatever fight makes sense, that's the fights we're going to fight. After all, it is a business, but we do want to please the fans. Keith's always been a crowd pleaser. You know, so in that regard, we'll take on the best guys or whoever the fans, you know, consider the best guys.
All right, so I'm going to go to our Patreon questions. Obviously, we've discussed this with you and Keith before. Patreons are our most loyal.
Let me get one last question in before you go to Patreon.
Go for it.
Now, training Winky Wright and Keith Thurman, what is the biggest difference you see in both of those fighters, and what are the best similarities that they have between each other two?
Well, they both can box. I mean, Keith has a lot of skills, but Winky really was like the master boxer. He was a southpaw. He had a great jaw, great jab, great eyes. He was tough as nails, never ducked anybody, wanted the biggest fights, you know, and Keith is a guy that can get you out of there with one shot. And he's a very exciting fighter. And I think that people want to see him fight. You know, they're waiting for him, and, you know, they want to see him fight, which is great for Keith.
Is the power back? You've been in the gym with him for this whole month.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Ask my shoulders. Yeah, the power's back for sure. For sure. I mean, Keith, you know, he's taken all this time to make sure that he's going to be 100% on fight night. He didn't rush it for the money. You know, he did everything in a calculated way, took the advice of his doctors, and, you know, train hard, prepare for the fight, and be ready fight night.
All right, we're gonna get you some quick questions here from our most trusted and loyal listeners. Bo in Bama asks, a lot of people, including myself, don't fully understand the injuries which Keith claims to have had. Could we get some clarification on the actual injury which he had?
Yeah, I mean, he hurt his elbow, which is, you know, it's an accumulation of all the years in boxing, you know, all the wear and tear on the elbow. Ask any puncher. They always have injuries to their hands, their shoulders, their elbows. You know, the human body wasn't made to get that kind of power. And the bruised hand is just, you know, from boxing and, you know, maybe landing the punch the wrong way. But everything's going to be healed up. Everything's, you know, healed up now, and we're ready to go. And, you know, we're excited for the 26th.
Jabron in New York says, if the Lopez fight is a very tough fight for Keith, will he get another warm-up fight before unifying the titles with the rest of the division?
I think Al Haymon and Keith will sit down and assess the fight and see what they go from there. But, you know, we don't expect the Lopez fight to be easy, and we really don't want easy fights because you really gain nothing from easy fights. So in that regard, I think you're going to see a tough fight. You're going to see a tough fight January 26th, but you're going to see also, you know, the skills of Keith Thurman and the desire to be champion again.
Just so you know, Nestor has a bet with Robert Garcia. If Keith Thurman loses, he has to do like push-ups, and our co-host has to wear a I Love Robert Garcia shirt.
Yeah, we had Robert Garcia on the show yesterday, and I lost the bet before. I picked against him in the Marcos Maidana Broner. I mean, but no one thought Maidana was going to do that. I mean, he was an underdog. Broner was red hot at the time. So he had me do 100 push-ups. I want my get back. You know, he's training Josecito Lopez. I know Keith's going to knock his head off his shoulders. And I said, I want to get the old man on the floor doing some push-ups, and he wants to get me down. So, you know, I'm putting all my trust in you and Keith.
This is your chance to even the score.
Absolutely.
You could bet the house on this one.
And I plan to. We've been betting around here recently. But let me go back to these questions. We got Joseph Rodriguez, who says, how can we make sure Keith gets his WBC title shot immediately? As I understand, he is the champion emeritus, but it doesn't seem like the Porters are too eager to make the fight anymore. How ironic, since before he was like a madman after Keith. But what can be done to your understanding to enforce the automatic title shot?
Well, first of all, I disagree about the Porter statement. You know, I know Sean and Kenny very well. I mean, Sean was a world champion. He's a hungry fighter. He actually came to our gym for 2 months and boxed with Keith every day. So we know him very well. He's one tough cookie. He really was. He really is. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't have been world champion. And what was the end of the question?
What can you do to enforce your automatic title shot as champion in emeritus status?
Well, I don't know if there's anything we can do. I mean, like I said, we leave that to the magic of Al Heyman. He's the best negotiator in boxing. That's why all the fighters flock to him. And I think him and Keith will discuss that with, you know, whatever's best for Keith's career, and whatever is, Al will make it happen.
Let me ask you a real quick question about the Al Heyman situation. I believe Top Rank sent over an offer for Danny Garcia, $3 million plus upside. Do you think that was a disrespectful offer?
To face Terrence Crawford on ESPN. He was asking, did you hear of a top-ranked Bob Arum offer that was sent to Danny Garcia, which was $3 million plus pay-per-view upside to fight on ESPN pay-per-view versus Terrence Crawford? And what do you feel of that offer?
I don't know. I think there's more money than $3 million there for them guys. I mean, that's a huge fight. That's a huge fight with two of the best. I think there's a little more money involved. Of course, it's up to the fighters whether they're going to take it or not. Bob Arum usually pays great.
All right, back to our patrons. This is an excellent question from Rodney in the 870. He says, rank Keith Thurman's preferred opponents to fight over the next 2 years if you, Dan Birmingham, were 100% in making all the decisions. Who would Keith fight over the next 2 years?
Well, I mean, our biggest fight's going to be Errol Spence, I believe. You know, everybody considers him the best, if not one of the best. And, you know, they think of Keith in the same regard, although he hasn't fought in such a long time. You know, he's losing clout, you know, in the division. But guys that know boxing and remember Keith Thurman, you know, they want to see him fight the best. And I think Spence and Crawford, you know, maybe a little tournament there would be great.
All right, great answer. Let's see. We got Rockman says, never mind his several injuries. Does it worry you that from the outside, it seems Keith's gained a lot of weight in between fights?
Oh, not at all. I mean, he's within 10 pounds right now, which is fantastic. Don't forget, you know, guys that are champions and have money, they eat in 5-star restaurants. They don't go to McDonald's and Burger King like we do. So, you know, they're going to eat the creme brulees and all the fatty stuff. But, you know, Keith has never not made weight, so I'm not worried about any of that.
All right. James Benitez, I believe you train Winky Wright and now Keith. Are there any other prospects you are working that we need to be on the lookout for? That's about to take the world by storm. Yeah, whatever happened to your heavyweight?
Yeah, Jordan Sanders was a 2-time U.S. amateur champion. He's just 1-0 now, but he'll be fighting again soon. And we got another middleweight in there that is one of Keith's sparring partners. His name's Mikhail Teal, T-E-A-L. And I'll tell you, both of them guys are loaded with talent and it can go as far as anybody. So we'll just see if they're going to be disciplined with the work and a good work ethic. And win every fight and go to the top like the rest of the guys. We expect that out of those guys.
Jay Hardcore in Washington, D.C. I read that Keith doesn't plan on fighting Spence or Bud until, Bud being Terrence Crawford, 2020. Can you verify that statement? And if it's true, is Keith way of letting his enemies fight each other to have just one standing like he did Porter and Danny? I know he's a big Art of War reader, and that is one of the tactics in the book.
No, not at all. Not at all. Matter of fact, he never made that statement that he's not going to fight them guys next year at all. Matter of fact, he wants to fight them guys next year. They are the biggest fights. Hopefully they keep winning and keep looking good, and we'll get them in the ring.
Was there ever talk about facing Sean Porter when he first returned to the ring?
There may have been a talk about a rematch. I heard something about it, but it was nothing really decisive. But
nothing like the first fight back.
Sean Porter's a great fighter. Pardon me?
It wasn't talked about as being his first fight back.
It was discussed. I don't know how serious it was. I mean, just about every fighter that's near the top was discussed. So, at the end of the day, Keith and Al Heyman worked that out. I just get them ready for who they put in front of us.
All right, we got one more. I don't know. Do you have time? We got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more, and then you're out of here.
Jeez. Sure. Go ahead.
Dave Caldwell says Winky versus Keith at 154. Who wins?
Well, Keith's not a 54-pounder. You mean if he was a 54-pounder, I think it'd be a great fight.
But didn't those guys spar back in the day?
Yeah, they've messed around, but don't forget Wink's 46 years old at this stage.
No. But he meant
Wink's an old man now.
No, I guess this was a hypothetical fight. Yeah, this was a hypothetical fight, like Winky versus Keith at 54, hypothetically.
Fantasy fight.
Yeah. I really can't pick a winner.
Good.
I really couldn't pick a winner. I think it'd be a great fight. One guy's quick-handed southpaw. Another guy comes forward and banging. If Keith could cut the ring off with Wink, of course, Wink had great footwork too. I think it'd be a great fight. But myself, I wouldn't pick a winner.
All right.
I got to stay neutral.
Cut West says, has Bud or anyone on his team ever approached you all for a potential bout at all? Why is Bud Crawford ducking Keith Thurman so hard?
Oh, I don't think Crawford's ducking Keith at all. Matter of fact, I think he wants to fight Keith. Crawford's, he's got a champion's mentality. He wants to fight the best. I don't believe he's ducking anybody, and that fight may happen.
Christian
next year sometime.
Christian the Magician in LA says, I think it's New York actually. Who do you have winning between Spence and Mikey, and why do you think that the winner would fight Keith?
I got Spence winning. He just, he's a much bigger guy. He's loaded with talent. He's slick. He's quick. He's tough. He's got power. He's got great eyes, great reflexes. And, Mikey's, I just don't think he's big enough. If he was a natural welterweight, it'd probably be a pick-em fight.
All right.
But I just think, he's too big for him.
4 more to go. We got a deal. He says, how many times will Keith Thurman be fighting this year? He's fighting in January. It would make sense to fight 3, maybe 4 times this year just to get back. Also, let Ness and the team into the gym. We would love to get some footage.
Sure. Come to the gym anytime. But we're hoping for 3 fights. Keith has stated that, he wants to get in there at least 3 times this year. And as long as everything goes according to plan, it all depends on injuries.
Okay. We got Elms in the UK. He says, in the early part of his career, Keith was very eager to face the toughest opponents. Now that he is established as one of the best at 47, will he keep the same energy, and is he trying to unify as quick as possible?
Oh, definitely, he's going to keep the same energy. I mean, I even think as the last 2 years, I think his energy has even risen. I mean, he's anxious to fight. He's a crowd pleaser. He likes to make the fans happy, and he wants to cement his name in the legacy of boxing. So he's talked about many years to come.
Do you think what he's been reading over the last 2 years has motivated him? Fuel to the fire cliche?
Oh, definitely. Boxing fans are ruthless. Ruthless. I remember Wink was winning every fight, and everybody says, well, he can't punch. He's got weak hands and all this other stuff. But, he became world champion in a few weight classes and fought the best and always accounted himself well.
All right. We have Mad Bent saying, do you see Keith going for a title at 54?
I don't know. He's 5'8.5", so he's not a real tall guy, and he never really balloons up too much in weight. I think he could stay at 47 if he wants to, or if he wants to fight a 54 champ, he could fight a catch weight, maybe 150 or 151, something like that. But I think he's not going to have a problem at all making 47.
Dan, Broner versus Pacquiao, how do you see that unfolding?
I think Pacquiao's going to box him. Pacquiao's quick, southpaw, great legs, tough as nails, always in fantastic condition. I think if Adrian can get in great shape, it's a pick-em fight. If he doesn't, I got Pac-Man all the way.
Does Keith eye the winner, like later in the future?
That's a possibility. Sure. Why not? I mean, if they're making a stink in the division, we want to fight them.
RMV, I believe in where's that, Mike?
Louisiana. Rhythm and violence.
Yeah. As a trainer in the 147-pound division, who do you consider to be a tough opponent for Terrence Crawford that Keith Thurman himself would consider a tough opponent?
Oh, Errol Spence. Errol Spence all the way. Errol Spence, yeah. Errol Spence is, the guy that's considered number one right now. So why wouldn't you fight the number one guy? I think it's Errol Spence all the way.
All right. So I saved this really far out there, last one for last. Jose Perez in L.A., definitely L.A. He says, has Keith ever done psychedelics? He seems to be on another wavelength sometimes.
No, no, he's never done psychedelics.
Dan,
funny.
Birmingham.
No, Keith,
go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was
even as a young kid, I mean, Keith was very outspoken, very smart beyond his years, but psychedelics, no psychedelics.
Well, Dan, I want to thank you. I know this was very long, but for the listeners, very entertaining. I want to thank you again for coming on and taking the time out. I know it's a busy camp, but get back camp. We want to see that Keith Thurman that everybody's ducking back in the ring, and we thank you once again for your time.
And tell them we say hello at the Boxing Voice.
Tell them we say hello.
I will. I'll tell them tomorrow in the gym. Just tune in January 26th or be at Barclays and tune in on Fox, and you're going to see a great Keith Thurman.
Dan, thank you. Have a good night.
Thumbs up and happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Likewise.
Thank you, too. Same.
What is up, TBV family? Yes, YouTube has been cutting funding to their channels as of late, and with net neutrality going through its process, the internet is changing. If you want to keep your favorite channel intact, coming up with tons of content, and plus get hours and hours of extra content, head over to patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice to become a member of the TBV family and help support the channel. Peace.